All right, welcome back into another episode of Stay Tuned. We are back, myself, Josh Grillo, alongside Michael and Brayden, or Mike, however you want to be called. I don't really... Do you want to be called Mike?
I don't care.
All right, well...
Michael, Mike, Mikey, Shafid, it's all good.
We'll call him whatever we want. But for this, we are going to be talking about 2024 and 2025, mainly our recap of what we saw in 2024, the good and the bad, and then also looking what we want to see in 2025 as well. I'll get us started off. We're going to do our top 5 least favorite movies of the year in 2024. Now, granted, there are a few 2023 that I have in here that were released like late 2023 of December.
Yes.
And I know that we saw them in 24, so I'm just counting them.
Okay.
So at my number 5 of my least favorite was Ferrari, Adam Driver. It wasn't the worst, but there was no like main central storyline. We talked about this when we watched it. We went to the theaters together and saw it, and my one key memory from it was myself, Brayden sitting to my left, and Mikey was sitting to Brayden's left, and Mikey went to go to the bathroom, and maybe the worst CGI scene I have ever seen in my life occurred, and Brayden and I just started laughing, and like was just staring at the screen, and Mikey came back, and we were like, "You just missed the most wild thing we've ever seen." If you haven't seen these movies, this is a spoiler warning. We did state that. This is a spoiler warning. I know. If you haven't seen any of these movies, we do apologize. But basically, a car flips over and just like mows over a bunch of people, like moms, dads, grandparents, children, like. And it's so poorly animated. So,
and like, a car flips over is an understatement.
It is an understatement.
Car somehow launched 20 feet in the air, ricocheted off a telephone pole like a basketball, and then barrel rolled into about 20-some people.
And these are race cars that were made in what, like the 50s, 40s,
something like that.
Like it was like during a World War.
It was not good.
I mean, obviously, as we stated, I didn't watch this scene in theaters. I have seen the scene since, and if I'm mistaken, this all transpires because the car hits a rock on the road, right?
Literally.
This was historically accurate. That happened to the car.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that happens, but I'll put it this way: I forgot that this movie even came out. I forgot we saw this movie, but I would like to put in consideration that my Letterboxd review for this movie is. The best part of the movie is when I left the theater to take a piss. And I stand by that.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, even if I watched that scene, the best part was when I left the theater. I was happy, right? I was like, I went into this movie with high expectations, expecting a compelling story with phenomenal acting, and the acting held up, right? The performances were good. But it was just such a disappointment. It was boring. We didn't know what was going on half the time because they didn't really explain too much of the film. And so when I really needed to use the bathroom and I got up and left, I was like, man, I am free from the shackles of this film. Okay?
Yeah, Joe, you wanted to go see it again with your dad at first, right? Before we went in, because you thought it was going to be good.
Before we went in, I thought it was going to be good, and he started to like Adam Driver a lot more. I myself have been a big Adam Driver fan, so I was like, oh, like we think this is going to be really good. Hopefully it is, and we went and saw it, and I immediately was like, just wait until it comes out on Prime or whatever. And even at that point, I had to give up. I think the strong point is Driver in this movie. He does have a lot of good acting moments. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know the story behind Ferrari, so it is a good kind of story to that. But yeah, the ending definitely did taint it for myself. My number 4 worst movie was Wonka. I did not need Timothée Chalamet in a musical. That was number 1. Number 2, I did not need a prequel to Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka is fine as it is. We've already got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then we got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was weird on its own. Why we got another thing, I don't know. But whatever. I mean,
Is it really that bad? I still haven't seen it. I kind of want it.
it's not like that bad, but for me, I just was like watching it. I'm like, and maybe it's because I came into it not really caring, but it's more of like a Timothy did what he had to do, and he's not bad, but he's not like, wow, this is amazing work. Like, he definitely had, I don't know how many movies he was in this year, but I'd probably watch any other movie he was in than this. Number 28, one of the actors that I watched a lot of his movies this year is Zac Efron in A Family Affair with Nicole Kidman. It's a Netflix movie. It's a little weird. It's not a terrible plot, but like I said, it is a Netflix movie, so it didn't really have a lot to it. Yeah, it's just kind of there. It wasn't anything great, but it was one night that I was not doing anything. I didn't really want to watch anything that I had to pay attention to a whole lot, and I saw that this came out on Netflix, so I was like, bingo, that's it. And we watched it. Number 29. Now, some people might say that I am a little crazy for this one.
Wait, hold up, Joey. Where
Yeah.
You said number 29.
Oh,
where,
I said that because on my list for Letterboxd, I have up to 30 movies from 2024.
Oh,
And
okay.
that is, I'm just reading off that. By
Okay.
number 2, good catch.
Because I was just very confused when I heard 28. And I was like, how many movies did? Because I heard you say 5. I'm like, how many movies did he put on here?
I watched a total of 30
28
movies.
in 5 minutes.
I watched a total of 30 movies in 2024 that came out in 2024. So this is my number 2 worst movie of the year. My number 29th worst movie of the year on my Letterboxd. Venom: The Last Dance. I really did not like this. Now, granted, I am not a huge fan of Venom and Venom: Let There Be Carnage. And one show that I do watch frequent, the Escape Pod podcast, they said it best on if you don't like the first 2, you're not going to like this one. But if you liked the first 2, you're going to like this one. I completely would agree with that statement. I definitely think that if I liked the first 2, I'd probably like this one more. I think the strong points of it is mainly just the relationship between Eddie and Venom and how they continued to tell their story, and they ended it in a great way. Other than that, the rest of the movie was weird, trash. Half of it was just a Ted Lasso cameo movie, and it felt weird.
Yeah, I do like the Venom movies, the first 2. I know they're bad, but I still love them. I've always been a fan of the symbiotes before they started making these movies. So, yes, this one is still bad, but like I still enjoyed my whole time in the theater. It definitely could be handled better, but this was definitely a fan service moment where they just knew everything was going to die and they might as well just do whatever they can to make us a little happy.
Right.
I don't know if I needed a ABBA dancing segment.
Yeah. Not me either.
Yeah, no, I didn't see this movie. I actually still haven't seen Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I didn't really love the first Venom movie.
Then don't
thought it was
watch the
okay.
second one.
I just didn't think it was great. But
I
would
like
like
Woody
to-
Harrelson in it, but like the story's just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
the story is not good in that one.
You know, Joey, you mentioned the Escape Pod podcast, right? Check those guys out. You know, I've never seen an episode of them in my life, but good friends of ours.
They're
Met
good.
them, great
They're
people,
good.
great guys. I've never watched in my life. Go check them out.
I really do like a lot of their stuff, and not my opinion. My opinions don't come from them, but that was a good statement that Alex on the show said. So
They have some interesting opinions, so we definitely do not
we,
bring them over to this show.
We all have our opinions, right? Brayden, one of the YouTubers that I really like. He has his videos on like pop culture and movies. It's the Critical Drinker. Brayden thinks that this guy sucks fun out of everything. So,
He does. And Mikey
love
likes to take his opinions verbatim before seeing projects.
Yeah.
So my worst movie of the year is a Christmas Netflix Hallmark movie.
Sounds
I-
great.
Is it the one with the Chiefs?
No, it is not the one with the Chiefs. It is called The Merry Gentleman. My mom was watching it when I was wrapping presents, and so I just watched the rest of the movie. It's a Hallmark Christmas movie. It was the worst movie I saw of the year. It's mainly just here because it was very bad, but that's a Netflix Christmas movie for you. So mainly my worst movie of the year was probably Venom: Last Dance. There were a lot of other movies that were not great, but they were still better than those 5 that I mentioned. So yeah, that is my top 5 worst.
I think we're reserving like the number 0 spot, like the true number 1 spot for the Chiefs movie. Okay.
Which none of us are going to see.
None of us are going to watch it.
We're all refusing to see it.
What was it? 19? Was it 19 MVP
for a wide receiver? Which if anyone knows the slightest thing about NFL football is the most ridiculous thing that's ever been stated in a movie. If we thought Draft Day was an inaccurate representation of football, we now have this movie.
And Draft Day is a good representation of football.
It's not great.
It's not great, but it's still good.
9 times.
It's great until the final scene, but to put it to rest.
Brayden, you don't even really talking about, man, because I've dabbled in professional football. I have a few seasons under my belt. I'm a 12-time MVP. All 12 seasons I played.
Here we have Retro Bowler coach Michael Nichol.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Retro Bowler.
Actually, I would like to point out I have more. I have destroyed Bill Belichick's record in Retro Bowl. let me pull up my record real quick.
Well, he's doing that. I'll go with mine. So I watched a total of 52 2024 releases, whether it was streaming or theater movies. So soon. At number 48, I have Rebel Moon Part 2. Which is not good. I watched the first one when it came out, and I was like, good lord, this is just terrible. I could care less about any of these characters. The acting is nothing stellar. The CGI is good, but that's all it is because Netflix dumped their entire bank account into that project.
Right.
And then when the second one came out, I was like, well, I need some closure. I expect nothing of it. And then it proceeded to be worse than the first one, which is strange because this movie is 2 hours long, almost to the T, and it's almost nothing but sci-fi action, and it's just horrible. The writing doesn't make sense. They left on a cliffhanger, so I think we're getting another one. Say what you will about Zack Snyder as a director. We have our opinions. He's a horrible writer. These movies are genuinely terrible.
I love the Rebel Moon movies.
You never saw him, shut up.
I watched 5 minutes of the first one and turned it off.
So bad.
I mean, from what I've seen, the visuals of the movie is phenomenal.
The visuals are the only good thing about that movie.
I remember talking with you guys about it, and I remember saying, I kind of want to watch the first one, and then Brayden is down, and I never touched it.
You will hate yourself because they are so long, and then he played the whole director's cut thing, not to get that'll take me forever.
Maybe we should just make it like a silent film and turn off the dialogue so we don't have to listen to it, and we can just watch this. Watch it. Maybe we can enjoy it.
At my number 49, I have a movie called Lost on a Mountain in Maine. I just got out of school one day. This was in theaters for like a week and a half near me, so I have a free movie pass, so I was just like, whatever, I'll go see it. I had nothing to do. This movie sucks. It is essentially a true story about this kid who gets stuck up on a mountain. He's 12 years old, and he gets trapped on a mountain during a storm, and he's up there for 9 days and walks 80 miles. And at no point during this movie did I think like the kid wouldn't survive. It's the worst survival movie I've ever seen. It's just really, really bad. Like, I just can't remember most of anything. I think I started writing my review for it in the movie. Unfortunately, it was produced by Sylvester Stallone, so he had his name attached to this project. This thing was just bad.
Brutal.
They must have paid for the cheapest writers, cheapest actors. Like, it's all of the really corny stuff for survival you would see in like a Hunger Games movie or something, and just thrown into this. And the dad looks like Tim Robinson from the Driving Crooner clip, and so I can't not laugh anytime he was on screen. Yeah, never watch it.
Alright, well, I'd like to take time out real quick, okay? Because notice how Brayden said he got off school one day and then went and saw this movie, right? He went and saw this movie by himself because he is a psychopath.
Oh my god,
Goes
not this point.
By himself. Now, I'm ending this conversation right now before Brayden can give his 2 cents on
PSA
this.
to people out there, it is a very nice mental health break for yourself if you enjoy movies and have friends that don't want to go to the movies with you. Just go by yourself. Doesn't matter if you're in a lone theater or not. I've had multiple theaters to myself, seeing maybe 10 of these movies, and it's just a fun experience.
I'm gonna have to agree with Brayden on this one. I don't go to the movies by myself often, but when I do have a good time because it's basically just like me in a comfier chair with popcorn.
Yep.
And a bigger screen watching a movie. So why not?
And nobody cares. So
yeah.
At number 50, I have
people who go to movies
at number
by
50.
themselves.
At number 50, at number 50, I have Madam Web. Yikes. I don't think we need to go into the depth on this one.
Nope.
The internet has done
watch
it for us.
And come back and tell me how bad it is.
Yeah, the internet kind of reviewed this for us. At number 51, something I was surprised that wasn't on yours, Joey, was on Kraven the Hunter, which I think is worse than Madam Web. This movie was very bad. This is, in my opinion,
bad, I agree
this
with
is
that.
the worst of the Sony universe. It made Aaron Taylor Johnson look like a bad actor. The writing sucked, the CGI sucked, the story sucked, Russell Crowe was not interesting in it. Nothing made sense for the most part. They just kind of took away things from characters like, if Kraven is the greatest hunter in the world, why does he need this random kind of grimy lawyer to find bad guys for him? And also, she played like no important role in the movie. She either should have been a love interest or not included. Nothing made sense.
Completely agree. She should have been a little interest.
And then for my 52, my worst movie of the year, and arguably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, was a horror movie called Tarot that came out at the beginning of the year. It is literally a horror movie where it started off with a bunch of teenagers or whatever reading each other's horoscopes. And it's all based on like the zodiac signs and horoscopes and like all that stuff we make fun of people for on the internet.
Yeah.
It is
Brayden believes in crystals
downright
too.
horrendous.
He's just trying to find them.
Yeah, so that's my bottom 5.
Alrighty.
Okay, very, very interesting grouping of movies. Now, I would like to state real quick, going back to our Retro Bowl conversation, I have 19 Retro Bowls compared to Bill Belichick's 6.
Congratulations.
I would also like to say I'm currently on a 19 record, right? Like, I've won 19 straight. Right, I am the ultimate dynasty.
The Retro Bowl commissioner is eventually going to force you to retire due to spyware technology.
I don't know. I'm 57, apparently.
Alrighty.
I'm just that guy. So, Marcus, if you're looking for somebody, someone to
Marcus Freeman is who he's referring
Marcus
to.
Freeman. Sorry, because
Shout out Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Disappointing end, but a good season over. Give it to
Now you know how it feels like to be this right now, boys.
That made me upset. However, our King Stephen and Jelly stepped foot on the field for a fake punt that failed. But Steve, we love you. We're waiting. We can't wait to see what you're going to do next year.
Heck yeah.
But anyway, Marcus, if you're looking for a new anything, I know Al Golden is in talks of going to the NFL. Mike Denbrock probably needs to get fired. He doesn't make good decisions on play calling. I mean, come on.
14-2. What do you mean?
Dude, look.
I'm with Joey on this one. I watched a lot of your games because you guys are fans, and I needed to be able to talk with you guys about them. So
they're 14-2. Their worst game was against NIU, and they played decent,
which you barely lost.
Okay, but here's the problem, right? Literally watching the Ohio State game. Okay, we're playing against the.
You played Ohio State. It's not like you played Arizona State.
We need to do something. We just kept on running the same plays. They knew what we were doing. They were shutting us down.
Probably because they knew that your offense is not weaponized to go play OSU.
But we saw them actually do good, well-designed plays that are arguably trick plays, like the reverse flea flicker that we had for the 2-point conversion, or whatever that play really truly was named.
Right.
I mean, it looked kind of like a flea flicker to a degree, but you watch these plays and it's like, hey, they work. Why haven't we been doing this all game?
Right.
And that was my frustration watching this game. It's like, because Mike Denbrock keeps making these same plays over and over again. we're playing against a team that is obviously the best team in the nation, with a great coaching staff who's watched film. They're gonna know how to stop that,
Yeah.
right? Enough with the stupid screen passes on 3rd and long, right? It's not gonna get us anywhere, and they were doing it all season, but
That's what you're supposed to do.
All right, but
So is that going to be in your bottom 5, the NCAA National Championship?
yeah, because Notre Dame lost it. Anyway, my top 5, coming in number 5 is Challengers. I know it's a film that Joey loves.
I love that movie.
I couldn't.
I'm
I just couldn't
indifferent.
watch it.
I don't
mean,
care for the director.
I watched a few minutes into the movie and I went, wow, I can't do this. The tennis scoring system is weird.
All right.
I mean, it really,
I'll give him that
took
much.
me out of the experience. Also, I think the plot of the movie was a little weird. 2 dudes trying to go after Zendaya.
That's
best
all of his
friends,
movies
you know.
are.
Okay, he's a one-trick pony then. Oh, right.
Respectfully, Luca Guardino, I do not care for your movies.
Coming at number 4, I forgot how I made this right after last week's episode, mind you. I made this list. Number 4 was the Chiefs Hallmark movie. I completely forgot that I put this on my list. I didn't even watch it.
You didn't even watch it. You put it in your bottom. You put it above a movie you watched.
Just from that 10-second clip that we've all seen on Instagram, it single-handedly ranks it lower than a movie he actually watched 5 minutes of.
All right.
So, I do not like the Chiefs, right? Because, I mean, I've got family out there in Missouri. They live about an hour outside of St. Louis, and they're Denver Broncos fans because my uncle, he bandwagoned on the Denver Broncos back in the '80s when they were good, and in doing so, now my cousins are Broncos fans themselves, and for years the people around them, right? I'm telling you because I've seen how the Chiefs fans are now. But I can only imagine how these two feel because they're in the same division.
Yeah.
Right. So for years the St. Louis Rams were horrible. Right?
Mhm.
They then leave. So everyone in their general area doesn't really care about football because the St. Louis Rams suck and the Kansas City Chiefs sucked at that time too, or they really weren't great. Then the Chiefs got good and everyone around them became insufferable. In fact, Peter sent us a very angry rant one day about a lady on his college campus.
No.
There we go.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna actually repeat it because it's
For context,
Tasteful.
it's not very.
for context, Peter is Mikey's cousin
Yeah,
Yeah,
Peter's
the Broncos
and a
my
fan.
friend
cousin.
of the show.
Yeah. We'll bring him on the show eventually.
Oh, he'll be on it sometime.
He's going to make this very interesting, actually.
Oh,
And so
he
will
will.
Sean, my other cousin, but they're brothers. But so I can't stand the Chiefs. Okay, there's only 2 teams that I hate more than the Chiefs, and that is the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Right, I'm a Commanders fan, so makes sense. I'll put this in perspective, though. I would rather see the Eagles win than Super Bowl over the Chiefs. Okay, that is how much I
That's
cannot
a
stand the Chiefs.
bold take
Okay.
for a lot of people.
I know. I don't even like the Ravens. I can't stand the Ravens because we grew up we're all from like the Baltimore area. Okay, so
And I'm a Steelers fan.
and poor
Yeah.
Joey here's a Steelers fan, which the Baltimore fans don't really like.
There's a
the
lot of
Commanders either.
Steelers fans where we live. Let's
There
not
are
try
a
and
lot of
cushion
Steelers
it.
fans over there.
Right. They're also not big Redskins fans though. You know, Commanders fans around here though. You know, like the Ravens don't like them. The Ravens fans don't like them, so
Yeah.
Right.
they're also not very great. Which is why I don't like the Ravens. I don't like the Ravens as a team. I think they have great, you know. they
And
have
your
great
third worst
players.
movie of the year?
Yeah, we got. You guys are gonna have to get used to the random rants that we go on.
That's why we call it Stay Tuned.
Coming in number 3 is Craven.
All right, yeah.
My second least favorite movie of the year was Wicked.
You never watched it. This is a debate we're not going to get into right now. It's going to chew too much time up. I'm the only one here that watched that movie.
This should have been the episode. Just our top 5 least favorite. Just because Mikey's got grapes with half the movies that released this year.
Number 1 is The Crow.
You didn't watch that either. I'm the only one.
Okay, I actually
I will
did
put this as
recently
the only
watch The
person who watched that
Crow.
one. The new
I
2024
watched it.
Crow is not great.
I watched it. I watched it a few days ago.
Okay.
I got around
It's
to
not
watching
good.
it.
It's not. Go
It's
watch
horrible.
the original instead. The only thing, I will say, the only thing that they did right in the 2024 release is they brought the level of violence that they couldn't do for the original. I wish we could have the original with Brandon Lee and have the violence of Bill Skarsgård's adaptation because it was so bloody and so cool to see.
It is a disgrace to the movie from the 90s with Brandon Lee, and it is a disgrace to James O'Barr's comics. And
No,
that's
the
all
movie's
I'm trying
bad.
to
I just,
focus.
like I said, I only like it for the violence.
It's
That's the only
horrible.
good part of it.
It's awful. It should have never been made. It should
And
be
the trench
burned.
coat was cool.
Like every copy of this movie needs to be burned. It needs to be destroyed.
I'm gonna buy a steel book of it and send it to you so you can't burn it.
I'll melt it.
You don't have anything to do that with, but okay, we'll move on.
Try me, bitch.
So that's our worst movie for the year, and half of Mikey's movies he never watched but just has gripes with. So going into our top 10 movies of the year, one movie that I do have in as an honorable mention, it was 15 out of 30 for mine, but I did want to mention it, is The Bike Riders. It is not my top 10, however, it is a very good movie, and I did really like it a lot. It told a story in a different kind of way that I really did enjoy. But then, as I started to get into more movies of that year, of this past year, it definitely did go down. But not anything that it did wrong. It was just movies were better. So that's just an honorable mention that I had. Number 10, Netflix movie that came out, and it doesn't feel like a Netflix movie as much, but I've kind of watched a few more clips, and I may be going down on it a little bit more, is Carry On. After this movie, Jason Bateman, in my opinion, needs to be in a more of a villain role.
Yes.
In more some serious roles. He is very good in comedy, don't get me wrong. I really do love him in comedy movies. However, I do think he does need to start getting some more villainous kind of roles, some more roles that, are more drama felt.
He's got the look now that he's older. Like, he could have longer hair that he had in this movie. He definitely could be, like, an evil businessman. I did not care for the movie much. It's in the lower half of my list, but he is, like, a very good part of that movie. If you like Jason Bateman, you can just watch it for him.
There was a great show that he was in, and she played a serious role. It was about, like, this rich family.
What was it called? Ozark.
With this rich family.
He's
losing their
referring to
money.
Arrested Development.
Yeah, Arrested Development. Great, great show.
For its seriousness and not its comedic impacts.
There is no comedy.
I do need to
It's
watch
not a
Ozark, though,
comedy.
because I've heard fantastic things about him.
I have too.
I've heard good things too.
I haven't been watching it.
So yeah, my number 9, one of the most recent films that we went to go see together, A Complete Unknown. It could be because I was high on it when I did place it in this area. But out of overall movies, I really did like I like the storytelling, and I like Timothée Chalamet. I really do think that he was really, really good in this, and he really does make this movie a lot better for me. So that's why that's in my top 10 there. My number 8. Oh, you got some? You don't like that?
So I don't. I didn't know anything about Bob Dylan going into this film. I knew of 3 of his songs that played at work, and then that was it. And my biggest takeaway of that movie was Bob Dylan was an ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why everyone thinks he's dead.
I definitely agree that it definitely does show that 1, Bob Dylan is an introvert, 2, Bob Dylan can be a dick, and 3, Bob Dylan, because of those, people think Bob Dylan's dead.
But if you like Bob Dylan, go watch it, because Timothy Chalamet
Yeah.
does scarily sound like him.
He does, and it's very good.
If you
Number
like
8,
Walk the
yeah.
Line, it's just a better version of that movie.
If you
Yeah.
don't
So-
like Bob Dylan, watch
You
it
don't
so
like-
you can dislike him even more.
My number 8 is Fly Me to the Moon. I like the spin they took on this. I didn't really know a whole lot about it, but then when I got into it, I was like, wow, this is really good. I do remember that my review to it is it was Channing Tatum needs to wear more colorful, tight turtlenecks from now on. Wow, did he look good. I don't think that was gonna get you.
It wasn't the looking good, it was the eccentric wow in front of it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Overall, though, I did really like how they told the story on how it was like. It basically takes how people that say the moon landing was fake, but the people that say the moon landing was real, and it basically goes, yeah, well, how about both? And it just puts it together.
Well, I don't like rom-coms. I will go into my gripes with this movie later because I hated it. But most importantly, the moon landing was fake. Joey, please continue.
No, it was cute. It was funny. We all three knew like nothing about it. We just saw this movie on a whim, if I remember.
Yeah, it was that because I don't think there was a whole. It was like I felt like it was in May or something when we saw it,
It was
and
July.
it was more of like a. Oh, was it
It
July?
was over the summer.
Yes, I remember because it was on my sister's birthday when we went to go see it.
Oh. I just remember we were like, yeah, let's go. Like, why not? Like, yeah, like it's not gonna be bad. We didn't think it was, and it wasn't. It was very good in my. Number 7, The Fall Guy. I definitely liked the action more in this movie. It has fallen off a little bit for me. The comedy, when you rewatch it, is a little bit more dry. But I do think that it was still very, very good. Ryan Gosling played a fantastic, moody 30-year-old who's basically just a teenager in his head. Like, it was overall pretty good. The action of in this movie, the way that they were publicizing it, like it needed to be a top-notch action, and they did that. And you also kind of felt like they were making fun of action movies at the same time, which I think was a cool little spin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good theater experience.
Yeah, definitely. Number 6, this one kind of surprised me when I walked in the theater. It was not how I thought that I was going to see it. Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams. I don't really know if it's a biopic or if it's like a documentary, but like the way they told the story was really cool. It's Pharrell Williams' story, his life basically told in Lego. It's really cool. 100% please go check it out. Like it is really good. But it's one of those things that was like I thought it was more going to be on like him telling a story on how he became who he was, and it, like him basically acting his life out. But it was more of like a sit-down discussion, and then like talked out like how he became who he was and what he got into, and he had the other piece. So it was like a big documentary, but it was still really cool the way they told it.
I'm a little disappointed I never actually went to see it still. Like, it was just one that I missed, and then
Yeah.
I was like, man, I wish I had gone to see this.
Yeah,
I still
it
haven't
was
gotten a chance.
it was like September or October when it released. I was just back for fall break, so I took my roommate and my brother to go see that movie in the theaters. We had a random day off that we weren't doing anything about, so we just were like, let's go. So entering into my top 5, one that Mikey does not like, but I really do love, is Challengers. I really, really, really love this movie. I think Zendaya is awesome in it. I think the storytelling they show is really good in it. Whether you think it's about, well, it's not about tennis. Let's just be straightforward. It's not about tennis. Or how I like to say it is that it is 100% about tennis. Like,
Yeah, it's a complex love story that involves.
Doesn't entirely make sense in my opinion.
You know,
The acting wasn't the problem.
it
If you want to say
involves-
Zendaya
No.
or the other actor who's good, that's fine.
It
I
involves-
I definitely
love
think
my
that-
grapes.
to have a little bit more fun with it and to like understand it a little bit more, you do have to know tennis, which I think is one of the downfalls of it, is that you have to know a little bit about tennis in order to understand it a little bit. If you don't know tennis and you go watch this, you're going to be disappointed. My number 4, some people might really disagree with me on this one. I still keep it where it is, Deadpool and Wolverine. Not only was it's a good movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's good. But the theater experience that you have with that, I remember I was sitting next to Brayden, and I think either Mikey was on my right or he was next to Brayden. But I remember that I was sitting next to Brayden, and we're watching this, and when Elektra comes out, and then when Blade comes, I remember looking at you, and you and I deadlocked each other, and we were like no way we did this.
I remember being insanely impressed they pulled off the Channing Tatum Gambit, because that was like something I've been waiting for since the crappy X-Men Origins movie, so I freaked out when that happened.
Yeah, when that happened, our theater went nuts. Not only is it a good movie, and it's very comedic, and it does a very good job at basically saying Marvel is still around. This isn't the best movie we've made, but it's still a good one. We're giving acknowledgement to the movies before, and we're saying goodbye to Fox and everything that they and Central, whatever. We're saying goodbye to them. They're still part of our story, but it's gone. It was a great way that they did everything. I think that this movie, I don't think that they could have changed anything else, and I still think that out of everything that happened, it's still it's a good movie.
I think they were stuck with a very specific story ending in order to do what they wanted to accomplish, and so they knew that the story wasn't going to be great, and so they just said, fine, we'll dump as much fan service into this movie as possible to at least make people happy. Because we talked about this when we went to dinner right after going to see this movie, and we all agreed, like, it's a mess when you look back, but in the moment, it's just so much fun.
Yeah. I did have some frustrations in regards to the ending of the movie. But as we stated, it seems like that's kind of like how they had to finish to end the movie. But I really remember sitting in theaters, and as Deadpool is thrown into the shoe store, he walks out, and the sign for the shoe store says Liefeld's Just Feet. And I remember cracking up, dying laughter in the theater, and we get back to dinner right after, and Brayden's like, yeah, Mikey, that's not that funny. You're very immature. There's probably a shoe store somewhere called Just Feet, and I'm like, no, man, that's not the joke. The joke is the fact that it's Liefeld's Just Feet. Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, couldn't draw feet, or at least that's what they said. That's the joke. No one in our theater really got it. It was kind of
we were all focused on the explosions.
Yeah, true. I chuckled at it because I noticed it, and I thought it was funny. But yeah, overall, it has its messes, it has its problems, but it did what it had to do. That's why it's in my 4th slot. My number 3, a movie that we saw in 2024, but it did come out in 2023, but I'm still counting it. The Iron Claw.
Yes. Phenomenal movie.
It is a great movie.
Because it came out in 2023, I had completely forgot about even putting this on my list. It definitely deserves a spot, but it's not on mine because I forgot about it. I remember right after the movie ended, we were like, yeah, that was a good movie, and Brayden went. So we saw this, I believe, January 2nd, right?
Yeah.
It was January 2nd.
This was the first movie we saw of the year.
And Brayden went, that might be one of the best movies I've seen all year. And I remember going, yeah, Brayden, it's probably the best we've seen all year. Right? It took him a little while to process the fact that it was a new year.
It was like midnight when we got out of it. We were all tired because we all went to work the day before.
We were tired. I cried during it, so I was recovering from that. I think Joe cried.
Yep.
We can't spoil this movie because it is so good. All we will say is it's Little Women for Men. Go watch it.
I wasn't crying.
I've never thought of that, but that is a great analogy.
I wasn't crying. It was just raining in the theater that I was watching it in. So.
Yeah, I mean, great story overall. I wish that this movie was released in the summer, so that way, 1, more people could go watch it, and like it could get good publicity, and 2, so Zac Efron could get actor nomination.
None of
for
us
Oscars.
understand how the deadline and Oscar nomination stuff works, but we were all very disappointed that he wasn't going to get, because we knew he wasn't going to beat Cillian Murphy out.
Yeah,
But
no.
we wanted the nomination at least because that does wonders for actors' resumes.
Yeah, so I don't know if he got. I don't know where we don't know where the threshold is. If it was for 2023, he should have gotten a nomination, but not one. Cillian should have won that. I 100% agree. But if it's for 2024, it's for this year.
He definitely needs to
He
be in
should get a
consideration.
nomination, and I honestly would probably say he should win, even
I
though
don't
the
know if he
movie's
should
technically
win
been out
it.
for 2 years.
Looking at my list, I can't say for certain that he should win it, but he definitely deserves a nomination. But like
Yeah.
I said, we don't understand how it works because the Oscar system is stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
My number 2, one that I know Brayden doesn't feel the same way that I do, but I definitely have more of a gravitation to history movies, is the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
I liked it.
I really liked it. I know I gave it a 5 out of 5, and you were like, it's not 5 out of 5, but it's still good. In which I understand, because I definitely do hold some movies. Like, I have Cars at a 5 out of 5. I have Megamind at a 5 out of 5. That's also because of personal connections and, all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoyed this movie. I had it on a little bit more later at night. I was watching, like, every single action thing that they're doing. I think it's great. The comedy, I think, was hilarious with Henry Cavill, and although their accents aren't perfect, I think it's one of those things that it's meant to not be because it's supposed to be funny, not accurate. So I overall loved this movie. I think it was great.
No, it was a great movie. I will say one thing, a lot of people crapped on this because they thought it was a war movie and it's an espionage movie, so they went into it and went, oh, where's all the action? It's still a good movie. You just
it still
thought
has
it was
enough
something
action.
else and you let your emotions tamper your review of it.
Yeah.
It was a very funny movie, and Guy Ritchie still wrote a great script for it.
Completely agree.
It's somewhere in my upper half of the movies. I think I have it at number 20 or something of 52, but I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah. My number 1 was Saturday Night.
Yes.
I Good.
Unfortunately.
the way Brayden, do you have it in your top 10 at all?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're going to touch on this a little bit as well, but the way they shot this movie, wow. In your review that you said on Letterboxd, I forget exactly your words, but it looks like the movie was made in 1975.
Oh, don't worry, I'll dive into this.
Please, so good.
I haven't, unfortunately,
So
had a chance to watch it.
You would
because
love it.
I really, really want to watch it. It looked phenomenal when I saw the first trailer. But I mean, unfortunately, due to the fact that it's weird going to see movies by yourselves, I just didn't have anyone to go with me. So,
All right.
but
All right.
Yeah.
Is that your 10?
Yep.
Yes, that is my 10.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you do top 10 best or top 10 favorite?
It's kind of a mix of I think that Saturday Night is one of the better movies. I think it is a top 10 movie of 24, but I also loved it a lot. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a mix of I think it was made great, but I also think that I did really like it. So kind of.
So I didn't know, which is why I asked before going into this, because I'm just going to read my top 10 ranking
Yep.
of the best projects released, whether I rewatch it 5 more times in the next year or not. It's just what I thought was the best. Some honorable mentions. I'm sure Mikey's going to go into this because I have a feeling it might be in his top 5 The Apprentice movie. Is that in your top 10, Mikey?
maybe.
Okay, so I won't talk about it that much. All I'll say is, politics
Maybe not.
aside, very interestingly told movie. Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong were some of the best biopic performances I've ever seen. Alien Romulus, great revitalization to the universe. I loved it so much. I saw it twice in 2024. Very good. Gladiator 2, hell yeah, awesome. There was just a lot of fun stuff that came out this year. So those are kind of my honorable mentions.
Agreed.
At number 10, it's a Netflix movie. It's called What's Inside. Basically, the plot of this movie is trying to remember if there's like a game. It kind of reminds me of the game from The Office where everybody put a sticky note on their head. They all plug themselves into this machine, these like college kids that are friends or whatever, and they switch bodies like Freaky Friday style. And then the game that they play is you have to figure out who's who. But it slowly devolves into like this psychological thriller because all of these people are terrible people. So they're like trying to mess up each other's relationships and like mess with each other and stuff. I didn't love the ending, but it's very, very well edited. So if you have 2 hours, check it out. It's very interesting. You do really have to learn people's names fast though, because it gets really hard to keep track. At number 9, I have Heretic. Hugh Grant as a psycho killer kind of guy is awesome. He was fantastic in this movie. The script for this movie was great. I didn't love the ending. It was a bit of a cop-out, cheesy horror movie thing that we see a lot. But the rest of the movie was really interesting to sit and listen to, like, whether it's like sound argument or not, when they're talking about theologies and other aspects of that. It's interesting to listen to. At number 7, I have Chapter 1 of the American saga Horizon, Kevin Costner's Western. We saw this in theaters over the summer. It's long, but it's good. It's really interesting. There's like 3 or 4 different stories going on here. And I was interested in all of them. I'm really upset that the second one's been delayed for so long, because I was hoping to see it by now, but it is what it is. Number 7 is Furiosa. There's a lot of people who don't like this movie. There's coming out all of a sudden. Mikey and I saw this in theaters. I had seen Fury Road for the first time the night before. Mikey, you hadn't seen Fury Road, right? At the time?
I didn't watch it. I haven't seen any of the Mad Max films. This was actually
I had only seen the very first one, the original, and then which I hate, and then I had seen Fury Road the night before. Furiosa was really good. Chris Hemsworth actually got to use an Australian accent, even though they made him do it like way over the top. But Anya Taylor-Joy was really good in it. The story was fun. The action was fun. I liked it. I liked it for a lot. In terms of this year and last year, it seems like this is a sandwich year where like we got a lot of good projects, but not necessarily over the top fantastic. So there's a lot of overlapping here. 1, 2. Hold on. Technical difficulties with counting. At number 6, I have the Nosferatu movie that came out at the end of the year. Joey, you just saw it. I know you're not big on it. I know Mikey's not huge on it. I really liked it. I think we discussed right before filming. This is just one of those directors that you either do or don't like. You just kind of have to roll with it. I didn't love the original silent film. I thought this was a really good movie, though.
So, yeah, I mean, I would like to say because it's not on my top 10 list at all. Because the ending got too weird. It was little too hypersexualized, which was just kind of odd for a movie like this. Which I kind of understand. A lot of vampire movies kind of have Dracula being this super like handsome and kind of romantic guy. So the women fall for him. This is the exact opposite of that. But the movie looks phenomenal. It was shot phenomenally.
Yes.
The entire movie is beautiful. I would recommend watching this movie if you are like a fan of the visual.
You have to like dark horror. If you don't like dark horror, you will hate this movie, and we're not going to judge you for it.
But again, like just for the visual aspects of this film, I would recommend going to see it just for that. But yeah, no. So
At 5, I have We Live in Time, the romance movie between Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Joey, did you see this one? I can't remember what to do.
No, it is on my list.
You would like it a lot.
I keep trying to find a time to. I was going to try and watch it this weekend, but there were just a lot of people in my room over the weekend, so I wasn't going to turn. You talked to me about how you kind of just have to watch the movie on your own. There's a lot of different things going on. So
it is like
I'm trying.
It's probably not going to win any acting awards, despite how much I love those two. And I think they're a great on-screen pair. just because they do some of the best acting to portray just an average human being, how an average person reacts without over-the-top Hollywood magic. I loved it. I saw it in theaters with a friend. She started crying with about 45 minutes left, and by the time the credits rolled, she looked over, and I was crying, and I tried to hide it. It's a very good movie. It's not corny. It's not cheesy. It's very human, and I love it. At my number 4 is a movie that Mikey and I saw in theaters, A Real Pain, with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. There isn't necessarily like a solid driving force to this plot line, and yet it just makes you kind of want to sit there and enjoy the ride as it's going on. Kieran Culkin is great. Jesse Eisenberg is in a role that I've never seen from him before, and he's very interesting in it. It's just a great relationship if you have like brothers or really close cousins that you grew up with. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just kind of like a feel-good movie that really does make you feel good. At number 3, I have Saturday Night.
Yeah.
I saw this movie twice in theaters. It is so freaking good. So for starters, shooting this movie in 16mm was one of the smartest decisions from a director I've ever seen because it looked so old. It looked like I was watching a box TV playing like the original episodes of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
The casting that they did is phenomenal. Chevy Chase, John Belushi, George Carlin, Jim Henson, all cast phenomenally. They look and sound terrifyingly accurate to their original real counterparts. The camera work is incredibly chaotic, and yet it fits perfectly where they're doing these incredibly extended shots where they're walking through the entire studio in hallways, and they're just following them on a bunch of 5-minute one-shots. And then they'll go into an elevator, and you'll have a guy swinging a camera rapidly back and forth for conversation. It is, without a doubt, one of the best movies of the year, and it's going to win a lot of awards, as it should.
It should.
And I thought the ending for it was phenomenal. Obviously, it's a real-life story, so it's not really a spoiler. They end the movie with Chevy Chase doing the
Live from New York.
Live from New York on Saturday
night.
night. After the John Belushi, I don't know what the name of it, but it's the Wolverines bit that they do from the first episode, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
At number 2, I've talked about this movie a lot. It's Hundreds of Beavers.
You have talked about it a lot.
10 out of 10 movie in my eyes. I'm not going to go into it much, other than just give it a watch. It's hilarious. And then at the number 1, this might turn some heads, it might not. I give it a 10 out of 10. It is Dune Part 2. It's a sci-fi masterpiece. I can't really say anything about it. Stacked cast. Mikey and I saw this in IMAX. Great IMAX experience. I would definitely have recommended that at the time to anyone if I could have. Everything about it is fantastic. I'm so excited for the 3rd installment when that eventually comes out. But I will say the real number 1 that I have for this year, which I also gave a 10 out of 10, was the FX miniseries Shogun. Absolutely fantastic. I hold it up there in regards with like Band of Brothers in terms of miniseries. If you don't like dubs, don't watch it, 'cause dub is not good. And if you can't watch a movie with words on the screen, don't watch it. But if you can, it is absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best writing and character work I've ever seen in my life.
Bold take to put Dune Part 2 at number 1, but
Okay.
I think we can touch on that a little bit later. I would like to just say real quick that we mentioned before the episode something about like keeping it to an hour. I think we were trying to get to an hour, if anything.
Yeah.
Here we are at an hour in, and we've...
I was going to suggest that we maybe do 2025 as a separate episode, because I could definitely go on for a good and long time.
Well.
So, Mikey, go ahead and give your top 10, and then we can play our game that we've been waiting to play.
Okay. All right. So, my top, like, coming at number 10 for me is Megalopolis.
You didn't watch it.
I saw this movie and I loved it.
You didn't watch it.
Okay, for the record, I put Megalopolis at number 10 just out of spite of Brayden. I unfortunately didn't have a chance to watch this movie yet.
Good.
Although I am really looking forward to going to seeing it when I see it. Brayden, what are you typing in our group chat?
Don't worry about it. Keep it rolling. Be a professional.
No, I'm not keeping this unprofessional.
Mikey, just keep talking.
This was meant for Joey.
Oh. Anyway, I thought Brayden was gonna write something smart about me putting Megalopolis at number 10, which I was gonna read. Okay, I was gonna read that anyway.
No.
Anyway, yeah, no, I will eventually get around to doing it. So I guess we'll put at number 10 The Iron Claw. Coming at number 9 for me was The Apprentice. Brayden mentioned it already.
I'm not
Look, as Brayden said, politics aside, if you go into this movie liking Donald Trump, you're not going to come out disliking him, and vice versa. You go in not liking him, you're not going to come out liking him. This does not really.
It's not here to change opinions. It's just here
not.
to make a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really touch on his political career at all. It just touches on how he became like almost like the real estate mogul and the celebrity that he became over the years. This movie is worth a watch for Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong. Jeremy Strong alone, right?
So good. Those two.
Yeah, their performances were just phenomenal. It's great. And going back to even kind of how you guys mentioned Saturday Night, how watching that movie you felt like you were, in the 70s. Same thing with The Apprentice. Watching that movie, you felt like you were in the 70s watching it with the way they did it. I'm assuming they did this a similar thing using a kind of like a camera with a grainier quality. But it was great. So I recommend for the performances alone.
Yeah.
And number 8 for me was The Fall Guy. It was fun. I can just imagine. We were in the theaters as what was it?
June or July.
Yeah,
I thought it was
trying to
earlier.
think what song was playing in the movie. And we were
maybe
doing like
7 different adaptations of Kiss's
the-
"I Was Made for Loving You."
No.
What
when
was
we were
that? No, because
it
we
was
kept going
DJ
like
Khaled's,
this.
DJ Khaled's "All I Do Is Win."
Oh yeah, we were
Oh.
really sitting in the theaters.
That's right. They played
going
it a
like
good
this.
amount.
Ooh, right. Because it reminded us of when we were playing Octo games in Fortnite, and we were all doing that. So anyway, but yeah, no. I mean, as I stated on my Letterboxd review for this movie, it should have been named how many samples, covers, and versions of "I Was Made for Loving You" by Kiss can we fit into one movie, because there was a lot.
You're not wrong.
But it was incredibly fun. I think I gave a phenomenal performance as Cole Sievers, or whatever his name was.
Oh my gosh.
I did all my stunts for that movie. But
You did all your own stunts.
I did.
Did you also cry to Taylor Swift in the car?
No. Actually,
Then you're not Ryan Gosling.
I actually needed a
You're
stunt.
not Ryan Gosling.
I actually needed a stunt double for that one. So anyway, coming at number 7 for me was Gladiator 2. This movie was a lot better than what I expected it was going to be. It was fun. It was fresh. The action was great. But there's not really much that I need to say about it, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already seen it, or
It's a completely different movie than the original.
It is.
It's just fun. The
I
first one, great story. The second one, just fun. Don't care about your historical inaccuracies.
Yeah, no.
I went into the second one thinking it was going to be essentially the exact same story as the first one, and I couldn't have been more wrong, and I couldn't have been happier that I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm rarely wrong. So coming at number 6 for me was Fly Me to the Moon. I loved Fly Me to the Moon. Okay.
Good, thank you. Maybe not as much as I did, but
Well, I mean, I wanted to put it higher. Okay, I really, really did. I loved it though. I mean, it was just Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, and Woody Harrelson themselves all gave phenomenal performances themselves. Also,
all hot. All hot. Let me
Love me
just
some Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson's hot.
Jim Rash is in the movie as well.
I'll stand on that podium.
And
Loud and proud.
although he was like a director in this movie, I'm pretty sure he was just playing the dean from Community, just in an alternate reality in which his crazy commercial actually took off, and instead of staying a dean, he became a director. And number 5 for me is one that Brayden is really gonna disagree with. Ricky Stenicki. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's funny. I don't think it's like a top 10 movie of the year.
I don't think it's
good.
I don't think
but
it's
I won't say
great.
it wasn't funny. It just wasn't good.
I'm a sucker for those kind of comedy movies. You
agree.
know. So watching it is it's you know, it's a feel good comedy movie, and you know, you're going in to kind of turn your brain off.
Yeah.
And just have a few laughs.
Have some fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Have some fun.
And it far exceeded my expectations because it was amazing. And number 4 for me was a movie that I saw with Brayden in theaters. It was Boy Kills World. Okay. You know, we went into the theater expecting just a fun action movie, and it delivered on that. It was I don't really know what else to put to state about this movie other than the fact that if you go in expecting just a fun action movie, then you will get that, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more that goes beneath the surface. It's a very interesting take on like totalitarianism, and like
The story gets a little weird at points.
it does, and I will admit that the big twist is
Not a twist.
the big twist is not really a twist. Like, you can see it coming, but at the same time you're also like, but I don't think that they will do this. You know, and then they do, so it's kind of like, it's not really a twist, but at the same time, the fact that you don't think they're going to do it is what makes it a twist. I recommend. Except for
If you like John Action, you'll like, or
Yeah,
not John Action. If you like the John Wick movies or stuff like that, you'll like it.
it's incredibly gory, though. It's very violent, so if you're not a big fan of gore and violence, then yeah, this movie will not be for you. But it's fun. Not to mention, it's just kind of weird hearing Harry John Benjamin's voice over Bill Skarsgård, and
Yes.
as he's referring to himself as Player One, it's fun. It makes you feel like you're on drugs. I will never do any illegal substances in my life, but if I did, I would watch this movie after doing them,
Probably.
because let me tell you, I'm sure that trick would be insane.
I would probably think Bob Burgers was talking to me in my head as opposed to Bill Skarsgård's.
Exactly. And you have this weird, like, Captain Crunch kind of, like, thing going on, too, like, with this
Oh, yeah, I quoted
was it
that in
cereal?
my Letterboxd review, which is... let me see if I can
And how can you
find
forget
this-
about Dave? The literal embodiment of the indomitable human spirit, okay?
It was such a... It was a bit all over the place, but it was fun, if that's all you wanted it to be. The quote that I used from this movie was, "Do you know how hard it is to get a cereal company to sponsor mass murder?"
Yes. Oh, God, it's a must-watch. It really is. I think it's one of the best that came out this year. For number 3 for me was The Bike Riders. Right, I know, Joey, you kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
It was told just truly in an amazing way, and I think Jodie Comer deserves probably the best, an award for it, because she was really the best part of the film. You know, Austin Butler gave a great performance along with Tom Hardy, you know, and not to mention, like, Michael Shannon was in the movie, and Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, that I was trying to pronounce his last name correctly, but they're also in the movie, and they're phenomenal themselves. I would love to put it as my number 1 that came out this year. Unfortunately, though, I think the 2 above it were just better overall. Number 2 for me was...
I agree with Joey. This was definitely at the top when it came out, and then, like, to
As-
no fault of its own, it just started getting pushed down by other better
Yeah.
movies that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like it. They need to start making more biopics that are told in an interview recall process.
Yeah.
Much comparatively to The Social Network.
Yeah.
That and stories that aren't really told that often. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like we'll get into this probably in the next episode. Like Michael Jackson's biography. I'm very excited for it.
I know, like, we already know a lot about
If
his
they
life.
tell it the way that they told, for example, Bob Marley One Love movie that came out this year,
Yeah.
it's going to suck because that movie wasn't good. It didn't tell you anything new. It was very, very basic. They can't tell it like Bohemian Rhapsody because it's very generic, one-cut piece. They have to find something new to do with it.
I just think that they need to start going to different story areas. Like, Bike Riders is a true thing that not a lot of people know about. Like, do a movie about, like, Woodstock. Like, not gonna lie, I don't really know a whole lot about Woodstock. Like, I know the bits and pieces of the important stuff. I don't really know anything else.
Because you could do a movie about Woodstock through the eras. You could jump from Jimi Hendrix to the Limp Bizkit riots.
Yeah.
Like,
hell yeah.
So-
that's an interesting...
Bizkit.
Filmmakers out there, get on that. You're welcome.
Speaking of Limp Bizkit,
We want royalties.
Speaking of Limp Bizkit, that's
How
gonna
are you
lead
gonna
me
start
into
pushing
my
this?
number 2. My number 2 was Y2K, which I
You
did
watched
not
it without
see.
me?
No, I didn't actually see it. I'm just.
Okay.
It's actually not my number 2. I just heard Limp Bizkit and immediately thought Fred Durst and went Y2K. Fred Durst, you're amazing.
There is a scene in that movie that we have seen on Instagram where Fred Durst puts on his legendary red cap and says, "Let's break stuff," and then they proceed to break stuff to the song "Break Stuff,"
Yeah.
which
that's
is pure
hilarious.
cinema.
It's just
I-
one of those
I do wanna
things
watch
when you
that.
don't
I do
wanna
wanna watch it.
I thought that
Everything
came
is
out
fun.
this year. I didn't think it came out.
Came out in December, and I wanted to watch it, but it went out of theaters right before I came home to see it with Mikey,
It was pretty much like.
Really?
because we watched A Real Pain instead.
It was pretty much just in and out of theaters. So, actually,
Okay. I didn't
however,
know
my number 2 is A Real Pain. I cannot, I cannot, go through with the amount of good things that I have to say about this film. Right? I will put it just with just one thing in particular. It was actually probably the most hardest hitting scene of the film was how they shot. Essentially, the plot of the movie is Jesse Eisenberg and Karen Culkin are cousins who don't really have much in common, but they go to Poland to do a Holocaust tour because of their grandmother that recently passed away, and they're trying to rekindle their, like, they used to be close when they were younger, and as they got older, Jesse Eisenberg kind of grew up, got matured a bit, and they kind of grew apart. And I think that the best scene in the entire movie is when they actually go to the concentration camp, because the way it is shot is, the group.
It's
the
very
tour group-
bone-chilling.
It is. The tour group just goes through these buildings in this camp, and they don't utter a word. The entire, like, there's no music playing. They don't say anything. They enter into the rooms, and you can hear them step onto the wood floors. You hear the floors creak, and it's just, I mean, it's a very heavy hitting scene. I mean, especially when you get to the scene in which they walk into the room with all the shoes.
Right.
I mean, this movie does not disappoint, and if it wasn't for obviously the other movie above it, I would say it probably was the best movie that came out in 2020.
It's one of the best movies I've seen about, like, coping with loss and dealing with grief and all that. Like, the word trauma gets thrown around a lot these days. That's one of the best movies about, like, unpacking somebody's trauma about something that, like, legitimately affected them.
Right.
However, I will state that complimenting another dude's feet is a little weird.
Yeah, they did do that at some point.
It's a little weird.
Does that lead into your number 1?
No.
Not at all. No, I mean, I don't know how I can connect complimenting
That was just his
other
letterbox
dudes'
review.
No, actually, that was my letterbox review. Oh, God, I'm so fucking funny. I'm the funniest person I know.
Good for you.
Coming in at number 1 is Dune Part 2. It's just, a truly a feat in modern cinema. It's just
It was the
phenomenal.
popcorn bucket that got you up there, wasn't it?
They didn't have them at the theater we went to.
I got 7 of the popcorn buckets. I have them in my room somewhere.
No, in my opinion, they couldn't have picked a better director to revitalize the Dune franchise, whatever you want to call it. There was only like 1 or 2 individual movies
I
made.
still,
There was one
I still
movie.
need to watch both. Like, I haven't gotten
They
to
are
them yet.
fantastic.
I need to
Legitimately.
see them. They are. It's not that I don't want to watch them. It's just I know they're long, and I don't know a whole lot about them, and that
You don't
worries
need to
me.
know anything. They tell you everything.
The
first one
the first movie
is-
is huge lore dump. It's just an
The way
expositional
yeah,
lore dump.
people like to describe it as it's a New Hope and then Empire. I like to describe it as Batman Begins into the Dark Knight because like the first one's good and it's a great stepping point, and then it's like trajectory launch is insane to this
Right.
second movie. The first one is very good. It's very well acted. It's very well shot, but it is 2.5 hours long, and about an hour and a half to 2 hours is just lore dumping. So that way, by the time you finish it and you can watch the 3 hours that is part 2, you understand everything. There's nothing that you don't get that they won't explain very quickly, and you
Right.
can just be like amazed by what it is.
So I would more put it as the first one's the dictionary, and the second one is A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back combined.
It's just a lot of words.
The first one
It's,
is
all they
nothing but a
do
lore
is
dump.
explain everything that's going on and everything that you need to know and will need to know.
And somehow
And it's kind of like a
amazing.
sacrificial lamb, but it's
Alright.
so good at the same
It's
time.
great. It's great. And visually,
Cool.
it's phenomenal.
All right, so that was our 2024 recap. We did want to do 2025 preview, but we are already at like an hour, and we
But-
do want to get to our game.
But somebody, I'm not gonna name names, Brayden, went on so many
Somebody
rants. Like, dude,
needed
stop
to
ranting.
talk about their
man.
We
Retro
all
Bowl.
do it. We all
Somebody
do it.
needed to talk about their
Stop
Retro Bowl
ranting.
record.
Yeah, Brayden.
So,
Why did you go on
are-
about Retro Bowl? Marcus Freeman is not gonna hire you to be any form of Notre Dame coach. Man, give up
I'm
on
okay
your
with
dream.
that.
You're also not getting elected
I'm
as
okay with
president.
So next episode we will talk about 2025 movies and what we are hoping to see in the movies that are going to be coming out. But for our game, Brayden, go ahead and explain to us what we're going to do, and Mikey is going to be our first person to give us the things we need.
So, we have dubbed this game very quickly and lazily Connections. Essentially, it's kind of like a revitalization, if you've ever heard of the game 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, or whatever it's called. Essentially, in our game, you are given 2 actors, and you have to jump movie to movie and just see how quickly you can tie them together. An easy one would be like Tom Cruise to Robert Downey Jr. We say Robert Downey Jr. was in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer was in Top Gun with Tom Cruise, and that's
Yep.
a connection. So Mikey's going to give us 2 actors or actresses, and basically Joey and I are going to see who can do it in less movies, and basically whoever does it in less wins, and then that person will then become the next host and
Of the-
create the
yeah.
next game.
The,
and
the loser is going to become the host because
or
we're
sorry,
gonna
the
try to get
loser is going to become
the
the
winning
next one,
streak.
and so you just see how many ones you can keep winning.
Yeah.
King of the Hill style. We have said that using superhero movies seems a little unfair because anybody and everybody has these cameos in modern superhero movies. So I'd like to propose a rule. If you do have to dive into one that all 3 of us judge, like maybe not a Ben Affleck Daredevil level, but a Infinity War Endgame type level movie to make a bridge, that should count as 1 penalty point, because this is like golf rules, obviously.
Yeah.
So we can always get into
like
that.
a two-stroke.
I was going to say, like,
it's like 2 movies basically.
if you have
use something
to
like
Yeah.
go through Infinity War, then you
Yeah.
just get an extra point tacked on.
that. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, not only that-
I'm okay with
So
that.
Mikey's going to give us the 2 people, and then we will solve this and come
I
up
am
with our
writing
results in
these
the next
down.
episode.
So that way I can.
Oh, so
So I'm also going to write them down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys ready for this? Good luck. I like to say. Now,
Go ahead.
I'm saying good luck because it's going to be hard, but not impossible because I've already figured out like 3 different ways we can do it.
Okay.
Maggie Gyllenhaal to Jack Black.
Okay.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
And Jack Black.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only for movies, not TV shows, and movies that have released yet. So we can't do anything that is coming out in 2025, or like from now on, because that movie might not exist. We don't know.
And we said TV shows. We can use TV shows.
No,
We can't
because
use
anyone and everyone has cameos on the television show.
Okay.
So, do we want to solve this off screen and then come back with our results? This might take a little while.
You guys could we could give a few minutes to see if you guys can figure it out, and if we can't, we can just come back to it, and then we start next.
I say we try, and if anything, I can edit the part out that we take a long time in.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good point.
Because
Well, in
I
that
say
case,
we
I'm going
try.
to start getting into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't see stuff in between, we would definitely be able to explain it in the end, but you might not see everything. So okay.
Little Women.
I'm trying to find a good
Oh,
way to go.
I didn't
around
actually
this. I
go
don't
that route
really
for
know.
that, so never mind. That's why I don't have it written down.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did it in 7.
And 7.
I did it in 7.
Okay.
Which I probably could shorten this down in the middle. I just can't figure out I could probably take one more movie out. I just can't figure out a bridge between two of these people.
Must have on a beat home. Must have on
I
a
think
They've definitely been in a movie together.
I think I found.
Oh, they have been. Okay, I can take Superbad out.
I would love to see how you can.
Oh, wait. How many movies can I take out? I can take 2 out.
Oh shit.
So 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'll be
1,
honest with you
2,
guys.
3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, never mind. I took 1 out. I did it in 6.
I'll be honest with you guys. I actually have one down to only a few, so I'm not gonna give the
How
exact
many is
number.
Pretty good. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good.
I'm not gonna give you an exact number, but it's not as hard as
I
you
definitely
guys
did not
actually
go the
think.
same route, so you should give me the number.
I'm not
Because there's
I'm not,
no way.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you guys at the end once you guys get it, because I actually have 2 that I can go through. I'll give you guys my 2.
Jack
Once you
Black
guys
would
are done.
probably be easy if I went through the Jumanji movies, which I did not do. I went a different route with that because of a movie that has some older actors in it. And I also don't know like any of his comedies. I don't like his comedy movies, so I didn't put like I don't know Nacho Libre or School of Rock or Tenacious D. Oh my god, I forgot about Kung Fu Panda.
That is one of the ones that I had.
That's
The
one
third
that could have
second.
taken me.
See, that was one I thought about, but I said I don't really want to go that route.
That's going to be hard because I don't know how to connect anyone in that movie directly to Maggie Gyllenhaal, or even within a couple steps.
So the one that I actually have is Wall, but I can go through it once you guys are done.
The easiest one for me would have been. See, I hate that part. It's the Dark Sister, even though that's fair because she's got that Bride movie, Bride of Frankenstein, with Christian Bale in it, and so I can go through Christian Bale without tapping into the Dark Knight.
Right.
Yeah, but we're allowing the Dark Knight without deducting points.
Well, yeah,
So
but I can't. So
Okay. I think I found my right.
okay, how many do you?
Let me count. I needed to write it out. So, how, 4 movies.
wow.
Did you
4
go
movies.
through superhero movies?
I think I know.
No.
Oh shit! You know what? I completely forgot what superhero movies because
Alright.
the first one that I had actually has superhero movies. But I will give you guys the one that I have that won't even count anyway. But
Okay.
please, one of you guys start.
All right.
Okay, Joey, count us back in.
Okay, so we are back. We believe we have figured out a way to get from Maggie Gyllenhaal to Jack Black. I'll go first. So how I have it, Maggie Gyllenhaal is in Monster House. She voices, I don't know who in Monster House, but she voices somebody in Monster House.
She's in Monster House.
Is she not
Her-
the redhead? Isn't the girl
She
a
is in
redhead?
that
I
movie.
think so. I'm
Dang
pretty
it.
sure.
She is.
Steve
She is.
Buscemi is the old guy.
Ooh.
Steve Buscemi is in Grown Ups 2. Tim Meadows is in Grown Ups 2. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. He is in Semi Pro. Will Ferrell is in Semi Pro. And Will Ferrell is in Anchorman, in which Jack Black makes an appearance.
Okay, so you had.
I knew the comedy route was the way to go, but I just don't like Jack Black
So
comedy.
I had 4 total movies and then 5 actors to get. So Maggie, Steve, Tim, Will, Jack.
Okay, so we had 4. We'll count it as 4. So Brayden.
Okay, to no suspense, that beats mine, but I'll still go through what it is. I'm not well versed in Maggie Gyllenhaal filmography, so I was just doing anything I could to stay out of The Dark Knight, and I don't like Jack Black comedies, so I knew that was the way to go. You also could have taken Kevin James into Grown-Ups if you wanted.
I thought of that, but I was trying to find someone that was like kind of obscure that I figured would be in.
Well,
like,
he's in
anything.
Monster House.
Okay.
That's where I thought you were going. Anyway,
no.
So I started with Maggie Gyllenhaal. I went with Secretary. It's like the only other movie I know she's in.
Yeah.
With James Spader. James Spader is in Lincoln, the Daniel Day-Lewis one.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in that, who was in Inception with DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street, and it's occurred to me that I have double dipped an actor and lost this round anyways. I'll go back to my original one before I cut movies out. Actually, Lincoln went to 50-50, which had Joseph Gordon-Levitt with Seth Rogen to Superbad, and then I took Jonah Hill from Superbad into Wolf of Wall Street. So this one works. Wolf of Wall Street into Titanic, Kate Winslet to The Holiday with Jack Black.
Right. Okay, makes sense.
So
I
Joey,
did
you
it
actually
in
had
7, I
So
think.
Joe, you had what, three actors total connecting?
Three total actors, 4 total movies.
So Joey actually wins with 3 points.
Okay. So are we doing actors or movies?
I think we should do actors because you're trying to get from one actor to another.
Okay.
So it makes sense to cut. Just take the total.
I think
amount
it's
of
a
actors
1-point
mentioned.
difference at the end of the day, but
Well, yeah, but
we can go with that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, cut the actual actors out, so then 2 actors to get to. So,
well,
how many
in the
actors
end,
are
it'll
between?
always be 1 movie extra,
Well, yeah.
Right.
no matter what. So.
Well, congratulations, Joey. You are the
I don't know
winner.
if you're on my side in post, but
Hopefully we're on the same side.
you're on my side on my
y'all
screen,
are,
so
I mean, you're on this side.
or maybe you're on this side.
I don't know. Well,
There we go. That works because that was a mess. Anyway, so Brayden, now you have to think of one, and I think that's where we should end the podcast. So thank you
I
guys.
completely agree.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Stay Tuned, and stay tuned for next week's episode.